You badge through a glass door off a Tel Aviv side street and the air changes. Fluorescent light, stale coffee, no windows you can trust. Names become numbers, numbers become people. You learn fast. A single overlooked detail can travel farther than you ever will. This is your life, level by level, inside Mossad. Trainee analyst, where every fact is a potential threat. The office feels like a maze built from beige partitions and humming desktops. You sit under harsh fluorescent strips with a headset digging into your ear, scrolling through cables, travel manifests, phone metadata, and translated intercepts stamped with dates and unit codes. Tel Aviv traffic murmurs outside, but you don't look up. You mark a name, then a cousin, then a second passport number. Your screen fills with arrows and timelines. You're judged on one thing: whether your summary becomes action. You brief a supervisor in a windowless room, 3 minutes, no adjectives. You tell yourself the mundane matters. You tell yourself patterns live in boredom. You tell yourself missing one line is how people die. So you learn to write tight. Who, where, when, and what you can't prove. You go home with ink on your fingers and static in your skull, realizing the first weapon you're handed is attention, and it cuts both ways. Katzlin, assistant case officer. The thin line between ally and enemy. Now you're walking more than sitting. You carry a sealed pouch from a secure room to a handler's desk, signatures logged, times recorded. You help build meeting packages, a hotel floor plan, a bus route, a menu in the local language, a list of exits and cameras. You learn the weight of small tools, burner phones in plain cardboard, SIMs labeled by hand, a dead drop photo printed on cheap paper. You sit in on calls with assets abroad, listening for breath patterns and rehearsed phrasing. You draft the next message, short and sterile, because punctuation can be a tell. You tell yourself trust is a technique. You tell yourself everyone has a price. You tell yourself you can spot the lie before it blooms. Then an asset changes a detail, one street name, one time zone, and you feel your pulse jump. At this rank, you don't pull triggers. You load the chamber with words, and you never get to hear the click until it's too late. Katsa, field case officer. When secrets become lethal, your passport is real, your name is not. You land at Charles de Gaulle with a carry-on and a calm face. Then you ride the RER like you belong there, counting reflections in the window. In Cairo, the air tastes like diesel and dust. In Paris, it's perfume and wet stone. You keep receipts. You learn local small talk. You never check over your shoulder the same way twice. Meetings happen in motion. A cafe with 2 entrances, a park bench near a broken lamp, a museum corridor where you can stop without stopping. You run agents, test their access, pay in cash, favors, or paperwork that opens doors. You tell yourself the cover is solid. You tell yourself the city is just a stage. You tell yourself you can carry the secret without it changing your face. Then a tale lingers too long, or a contact's hand shakes, and you understand how fast a rumor becomes a raid. You become fluent in denial, and it speaks through you like a second heartbeat. You've learned to watch, then to handle, then to walk the street with a borrowed life. Next, you stop being the one in danger. You start being the one who sends others into it. Level 4 Station Chief. You run the Residentura operations, people, and fallout in one foreign city. The embassy corridor smells like toner and old carpet, but your real office is the small secure room behind it. A steel door, a white noise machine, 2 phones, one normal, one that never rings unless it matters. You scan yesterday's contact reports, the kind written in cramped shorthand after midnight meetings. You drink bitter coffee from a paper cup and look at the city map pinned under plastic, with routes marked in pencil so you can erase them fast. You don't meet assets unless you must. You manage CATSA teams, legends, safe apartments, and the local liaison relationship that can collapse over a single misread gesture. You approve surveillance detection routes. You sign off on comms schedules. You move money through cutouts, counting bills with gloves so no one finds your prints where they shouldn't. You tell yourself distance is discipline. You tell yourself delegation is safety. You tell yourself names on paper are still just paper. Then you send a cable to Tel Aviv that starts with proceed, and you feel how one word can push a human body into a doorway it might not walk back out of. At this rank, you don't run the street, you run the weather, and everyone underneath you gets soaked. Level 5 Division Director. You command a global portfolio, targets, budgets, politics, and the stories that justify them. Your days begin with a binder on your desk and end with the same binder heavier. Operational proposals, source validations, legal notes, political sensitivities, each page initialed, each risk translated into a number that can be argued over. You sit in meetings where the air conditioning is too cold and the coffee is too strong, and everyone speaks in clean verbs. Recruit, disrupt, neutralize, exfiltrate. Stations call in at odd hours. You listen to a crackling line from Europe, a clipped update from North Africa, a nervous pause from somewhere that isn't on official schedules. You move resources, vehicles, surveillance teams, language support, forged documentation, emergency funds. You push back on optimism. You ask for second sources. You request a dry run. You tell yourself strategy is clarity. You tell yourself you can see the whole board. You tell yourself the numbers protect the people behind them. Then a failure lands in your lap as a date, a location, and a silence where a voice used to be, and you realize authority doesn't remove consequences, it just concentrates them. At the top, every decision is a seal pressed into wax, and the wax always remembers your thumbprint. Even when you rise, the building stays windowless. The screens get bigger, the rooms get quieter, and the words get cleaner. You learn to live inside nouns, threat, source, exposure until they sound like furniture. You tell yourself you're protecting a country. You tell yourself you're managing risk. You tell yourself you can sleep. In the dark, what follows you isn't guilt or pride. It's procedure.